Last month, a total number of 2,780 knitting patterns were released on Ravelry. I have spent hours scrolling through 50 plus pages of knitting patterns, selecting the ones that stood out to me the most. I have created a bundle on Ravelry with 65 designs, and I have selected 15 of those to talk about in this video. But in case you're interested in all of them, I'm also going to link the bundle for you in the description box. The first pattern that I would like to talk about is the Marla top by Magdalena Edhofer. The pattern comes with two neck versions. You have the crew neck option or the mock neck version. And you can also either knit the pattern with a stripe design or just with one solid color. I think this is a very, very pretty classic design and I would love to make it. It is sleeveless and pretty much a basic summer top, but I think you could either wear it like very casually and also dress it up if you like. The top is intended to be worn with a negative ease of 0 to 5 or 6 centimeters, which corresponds to around 2 inches. It is knitted in a sport weight yarn with a gauge of 25 stitches and 36 rows over 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches. The needle sizes used are a 3 and a 2.5 millimeter needle, which correspond to a US 2.5 and a US 1.5. The pattern comes in 6 different sizes and the designer made 2 versions, one out of a 100% cotton yarn and one out of a blend of a cotton and a wool. I think both versions look very, very pretty and I would love to make this top. Now the next pattern that I would like to show you is called the Simple Tee and the designer is Dagmar Breker. I really like the understated minimalistic look of this design with this vertical stripe that's running down the middle, and you can see that it is also running around the shoulder seam and around the arms. The tee is intended to be worn with 10 to 15 centimeters of positive ease, which corresponds to 4 to 6 inches. And the pattern comes in 6 different sizes. The sample is knitted in a fingering weight yarn with a gauge of 25 stitches and 34 rows per 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches. And the needle sizes used are a 3 millimeter and a 3.5 millimeter needle, which correspond to a US 2.5 and a US 4. Now this top is one that is very unusual, I think, and stood out to me the most of all of the patterns. It is called the Céri top by Soligreen Sophie, and I think it looks absolutely stunning. It reminds me of those folklore costumes and I would really love to make this. It is knitted flat and has a very fitted waist and a deep V, and it also features some color work, and it looks to me that this is done by Intarsia, which I actually have not done before, but I would be very interested in trying it out, and I think it's a lovely, lovely pattern. The yarn that she used to knit the sample with is the Sandnes Garn Tin Line, which is a light fingering weight yarn with a gauge of 30 stitches and 41 rows per 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches. The needle size is also rather small. She used a 2.5 and a 2.75 millimeter needle, which corresponds to a US 1.5 and US 2. Unfortunately, the pattern comes in only 3 different sizes, so it goes from a 36 to a 46. The next design is called the Manhattan top, and it is a beautiful design by Cheryl Moktavi. I really like the look of this design. In general, I really like broken rib motifs, And this one is knitted in Knitting for Olive's no waste wool with 2 strands held together so that you get a DK weight yarn. The gauge is 21 stitches and 34 rows per 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches. And the needle sizes used are a 3.5 millimeter and a 4 millimeter needle, which correspond to a US 4 and a US 6. This pattern comes in 11 different sizes, which I think is just awesome. And it looks like one of those classic staple pieces to me that you could wear with all different kinds of occasions and always look put together and nice in. Now this pattern is one that I definitely want to knit myself. It is called the Fabienne Tee Solo by the designer Lene Holme Samsø. And I think this looks not only classic, but with a little something extra. I really like the hem and edging options she included in the pattern. So the pattern comes with 3 different finishing options. You can see here in the pictures the rolled hem at the neck opening, and there's also a folded hem down at the bottom. The sample was knitted in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. And I just finished a project using the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, and it is a very nice yarn. It wears absolutely beautifully, and I probably, if I decide to make this tee, I will probably go with this yarn choice as well. Knitting for Olive Pure Silk is a fingering weight yarn, and the gauge is 28 stitches and 40 rows per 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches. The needle sizes that I use in the pattern are a 2.5 millimeter needle and a 3 millimeter needle, which correspond to a US 1.5 and a US 2.5. The pattern comes in 8 different sizes, and although there is no statement about the amount of ease that is recommended for this pattern, it looks to me like this is a relaxed fit with a couple of inches of positive ease. The design is knitted top down in the round, and it looks like a very straightforward knit to me that is probably doable even for a beginner. And like I said, I think this is one that I will definitely have to knit myself. The next pattern is called the Penny Lane Tee by Hanne Rimmen. I really love the relaxed fit of this drop shoulder design, and I think if you prefer a long sleeved garment, you could easily lengthen the sleeves to make it a sweater. The sample was knitted with Filcolala yarn, so she used the Merci, which is a fingering weight yarn, a blend 50-50 blend of cotton and merino, held together with Filcolana Alva, which is a 100% alpaca yarn. So this created a sport weight yarn with a gauge of 24 stitches and 32 rows over 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches. The needle sizes used are a 2.5, 3 and 3.5 millimeter, which corresponds to a US 1.5, 2.5 and 4. The pattern comes in 5 different sizes, and to me it looks like a perfect transitional piece to wear in the late summer and also early fall. Next up, let's talk about the Lemon Sweater by Agnieszka Reduch. I have no idea, I'm so sorry. She is a Polish designer, and this is a crochet pattern. And although it is called a lemon sweater, I decided to put it in the top or tee category because there is both a long and a short sleeve version available, and I think this is such a summery design with the lemons all over the yoke that to me this would definitely have to be a short sleeved summer top. Now, I am not an advanced crocheter, so I have no idea how difficult this pattern is. It looks quite involved to me, but I would love to give it a try. It comes in 9 different sizes, and she uses a 3 millimeter needle hook. I think this is a very, very fun summery design and something I would love to tackle in the future once I feel a bit more advanced in my crocheting. Let's move on to cardigans now. This one is very beautiful, I think, and it is called Lemel. Lemel. I don't know. It is by the Wallflower design team, and the pictures are just stunning in my opinion. This one is knitted out of the Wallflower tint, held together with a strand of the Major Garn Pearl Mohair. So the tint is a fingering weight merino yarn, and held together with this lace weight yarn, you get a DK weight yarn with a gauge of 22 stitches and 30 rows over 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches. The needle sizes used are a 3mm, 3.5mm and 4mm needle, which corresponds to a US 2.5, 4 and 6. Now this pattern comes in 10 different sizes, and I really like this ethereal, classic but elegant look with the wide sleeves, and I think this would be a very beautiful cardigan to make this fall. Now the next pattern is another crochet pattern, and it's also very fun, I think. This is the Franny Granny Crochet Sweater by Hannah Cross. And she not only came out with this sweater pattern in July, but also with a hoodie and a dress, one version for women and one version for kids. And I think all of those designs look like so much fun to make. The sample was knitted with Knit Picks Comfy, which is a blend of cotton and acrylic. And it is a worsted weight yarn, which means that the pattern works up rather quickly, I think. The gauge is 16 stitches and 8 rows per 10 centimeters or 2.5 inches, and the hook size used is a 4.5 millimeters. You can make this sweater either long or short sleeved. I think a short sleeved version would look so cute in summer, and it goes from sizes XS up to 5XL, which I think is great. The next sweater that I wanted to show you is called the Wisteria Sweater by Helene Ronquist Knudsen. Unfortunately, I just realized that it is only available in Norwegian at the moment, but I hope that it will come out in English as well sometime in the future. The sweater looks so nice and cozy to me. It is knitted holding together two different yarns, so the Camarose, how is it called? Monestrale, which is a blend of alpaca, nylon, merino and polyester. So this is a lace weight yarn held together with the Iseya Soft, which is a blend of cotton and alpaca. This creates an Aran weight gauge of 14 stitches per 10 centimeters. And the needle sizes used are a 6 and 7 millimeter needle. So the 6 millimeter corresponds to a US 10, and I think the 7 millimeter needle does not have a corresponding US needle size, if I'm not mistaken. The pattern comes in 7 different sizes. It looks to me like it is a classic top-down knitted in the round construction, but I'm not sure since the description is only in Norwegian. And let's hope that this pattern will be translated into English sometime soon. The next and also last sweater knitting pattern that you might have already heard of before is one by Petite Knit, and it is the Sevilla Blouse. Another classic simple knitting pattern by Petite Knit, but I think it's very interesting with the boat neck and the rolled hem at the neck. And I would really like to make this one myself. Petite Knit knitted several versions of this pattern, so there are different yarns recommended. You can either use the Iseya palette or the Saint Escarn Line held together with the Iseya Trio 1 or the Tin Line by Saint Escarn. Like many Petite Knit patterns, this one is recommended to be worn with a bit of positive ease. She recommends 8 centimeters or 3 inches. It comes in 10 different sizes, and the gauge is 18 stitches and 27 rows per 10 centimeters. So it is an Aran weight gauge. The needle sizes she uses are a 4.5 and a 5 millimeter needle, which correspond to a US 7 and a US 8. One dress knitting pattern that I wanted to show you is this Wallflowers in Bloom by Nathalie Pellic. I think it's very romantic, a bit nostalgic, and an unusual design, which I quite like. It comes in a vast array of different sizes, ranging from both girls or kids sizes up to adult sizes, which I think is absolutely great. And I had a look at the Ravelry store of this designer, and she has a number of beautiful knitted lace dresses in her portfolio. So if you like dresses like this, I can highly recommend that you check out her Ravelry store. The dress is knitted in a 100% linen yarn. It is the Namolio Pure Linen, which is a light fingering yarn with a gauge of 22 stitches and 36 rows over 10 centimeters, and it is knitted with a needle size of 2.75 millimeters, which corresponds to a US 2. The photography is absolutely stunning in my opinion, and this is for sure a pattern that I personally would like to make. Let's move on to accessories now. This pair of socks is very cute in my opinion. It is called the Betty Ankle Socks by Veronika Forsberg. It is a shorty sock pattern with a cute colorwork motif, and with this choice of color it looks very beachy, coastal, relaxed, and simply cute, and I would love to make those. They are done in a DK weight yarn, which means that they probably knit up very quickly. The yarn that she uses is Nalle by Novita, which is a blend of 75% wool and 25% nylon. If I decide to make these socks, I would most likely swap out the yarn for one of my own DK weight sock yarns. So I have 2 sock yarn bases with DK weight yarn that I currently offer in my Etsy shop, and especially the Luster Sock DK one would be one that I think would create a similar result while being a 100% natural German merino wool yarn. There is one shawl knitting pattern that I wanted to include in this video, and this is the Landscape Wrap by Alexandra Tavel, who is also known as Two of Wands. She has a huge amount of patterns available in her Ravelry store. This pattern is very beautiful, I think. I'm not sure why it is called a wrap, because it looks pretty much like a standard triangular shawl to me. The great thing about this pattern is that it is available for free on her blog, and she also did a collection of beautiful yarn kits that you can purchase specifically for this wrap from Lion brand. Unfortunately, the yarns that she recommends are all 100% acrylic, which personally I would not use. I much prefer natural yarns, and I would probably swap those out, but I think it cannot hurt to look at the beautiful color combinations that she put together and get inspired by them. And the very last pattern that I wanted to show you is this super cute pouch. It is called the Holly Notions pouch by Anna Hull, who belongs to the Rowan team. I think this is a very fun and sweet design that I would absolutely love to make. It features some all over color work, and you can purchase the pattern along with the yarn as a kit directly from Rowan. This pattern definitely gives me some cottagecore vibes. I think it is just so sweet and nostalgic, and I would love to make this one. So this is my pattern roundup for July. Let me know which pattern you liked best and which one you would like to make in the future. And if you would like to see what I'm currently knitting on, you should have a look at my knitting podcast here. Until next time, bye guys!